What if one of humanity's greatest monuments wasn't what we thought it was? For over 4,500 years, it has stood as a silent sentinel in the Sahara. A monument of such staggering scale and precision, it defies explanation. 2 million stones, some weighing as much as 15 tons, fit together with astonishing accuracy. But what was its true purpose? Hidden chambers, secret doors, and a mysterious void deep within its core. Did the ancients harness the Earth's energy in ways we are only beginning to understand? Join us as we unlock the secrets of the Great Pyramid and challenge everything you thought you knew about the past.
At the dawn of history, 2,500 years before Christ, an entire civilization gathered to build the greatest monuments on Earth. 13 million tons of solid rock, enough to build the city of London, were hauled across the deserts. Why? What vision drove this?
What if one of humanity's greatest monuments wasn't what we thought it was? As dawn breaks over the Sahara, the first rays of sunlight strike the limestone blocks of the Great Pyramid of Giza, igniting a golden glow that has captivated observers for over 4,500 years. We embark on a journey to delve into the mysteries concealed within this ancient wonder. Constructed around 2560 BCE, the Great Pyramid stands as a monumental testament to the ingenuity and ambition of the ancient Egyptians. Traditionally believed to be the tomb of Pharaoh Khufu, its sheer scale is astounding. Over 2 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 15 tons, assembled with such precision that even a credit card cannot slip between them. To put its size into perspective, the pyramid covers an area large enough to house 5 soccer fields. Entering the pyramid, we navigate the descending passage, a narrow corridor stretching over 100 meters, comparable to the length of a football field. This passage is less than 1.5 meters high, compelling visitors to stoop as they proceed into the depths of the structure. It leads to the subterranean chamber, an unfinished room beneath the pyramid's base, roughly the size of a large 2-car garage, but with a ceiling so low it feels like the earth is pressing down upon you. The rough, unadorned walls suggest either an abandoned project or a deliberate enigma left by the builders. Ascending back, we find the ascending passage, steep and confined, like climbing the aisle of a sharply tilted airplane. This corridor guides us toward the Grand Gallery, a breathtaking passageway as tall as a 7-story building and half a football field long. Walking through it feels akin to standing inside a colossal stone cathedral, the walls angling inward as if to draw your gaze upward toward the heavens. From the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passage takes us to the Queen's Chamber. This room, similar in size to a spacious master bedroom with a vaulted ceiling, holds more questions than answers. In 1993, a robotic explorer named Upuaut Saku ventured into the chamber's so-called air shafts, narrow tunnels no wider than a grapefruit. The robot discovered a limestone door with copper handles, known as Gantenbrink's door. Behind it lay another door, and beyond that, uncertainty. These blocked shafts remain a source of intrigue, with some suggesting they may conceal hidden chambers or hold symbolic significance related to ancient Egyptian beliefs. Above us looms the King's Chamber, constructed entirely of granite rich in quartz crystals. The chamber is as imposing as a small banquet hall, yet eerily empty. An unadorned granite sarcophagus sits silently, devoid of inscriptions or any signs of a royal occupant. No mummy or treasure was ever found here, a fact that continues to puzzle historians and fuels speculation about the pyramid's true purpose. In 2017, using advanced muon tomography technology, scientists uncovered the Big Void, a hidden cavity the size of a passenger plane's fuselage nestled above the Grand Gallery. Its exact purpose remains unknown, and accessing it could risk damaging the pyramids. First-hand accounts, deepen the mystery. In the early 19th century, explorer Giovanni Battista Caviglia braved the pyramid's inner passages. He described the experience as walking into the heart of an immense mystery, each stone whispering secrets of a forgotten time. His explorations, though perilous, contributed valuable insights, but also highlighted how much remains undiscovered. So, why is the Great Pyramid considered a tomb when no pharaoh's body was ever found within? Traditional archaeology points to its alignment with mortuary temples and texts that associate pyramids with the afterlife journey of the pharaohs. The pyramid complex includes elements typical of royal tombs, and other pyramids have indeed been found with burial chambers containing sarcophagi and funerary goods. Yet, some theorists propose alternative explanations. They suggest that the pyramid may have served as an astronomical observatory, a place of spiritual initiation, or even an ancient power plant. The latter theory draws fascinating parallels with the work of inventor Nikola Tesla, who was captivated by the pyramidal shape and its potential to harness and transmit energy. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower was designed for wireless energy transmission, utilizing the Earth's natural frequencies, a concept that mirrors theories about the pyramid's function. The use of granite in the king's chamber, with its piezoelectric properties due to quartz crystals, leads some to speculate that the pyramid could generate energy through the Earth's vibrations or the flow of underground water. A natural aquifer lies beneath the pyramid. While there's no concrete evidence linking Tesla's theories directly to the Great Pyramid, the similarities are intriguing. Our journey ends where it began, at the pyramid's base, but the questions linger. What if the true purpose of the Great Pyramid was to bridge the earthly and the divine, not just in a spiritual sense, but through harnessing the very forces of nature? As the shadows lengthen over the sands, we realize that the pyramid doesn't just hold history, it challenges our understanding of it. In the words of renowned explorer Indiana Jones, archaeology is the search for fact, not truth. If it's truth you're interested in, Dr. Tyree's philosophy class is right down the hall. If you found this video captivating, don't miss our next adventure. Egyptologists discovered a labyrinth underground ancient humans could never build. Prepare to be awestruck by an ancient labyrinth hidden beneath Egypt's sands, predating even the mighty pyramids. This discovery could rewrite history as we know it. Join us as we delve into this subterranean marvel, navigating its intricate passages and unveiling hidden chambers. Explore the secrets of its construction, decipher its purpose, and uncover its connection to the enigmatic Hawara pyramid. Experts believe this labyrinth holds clues to ancient rituals and showcases the advanced engineering prowess of a pre-pharaonic civilization. Could this be the fabled Labyrinth of Egypt? Get ready to be amazed as we unravel this ancient enigma and its profound implications for understanding the rich tapestry of Egyptian history. Click now to embark on this extraordinary journey. By the mid-4th century BC, Egypt was a land where time seemed to stand still. The ancient pyramids, like the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, had watched over the desert sands for over 2 millennia. The legacies of pharaohs like Nefertiti, Akhenaten, and Tutankhamun were already 1,000 years old, their names whispers on the desert wind. Yet Egypt's glory had faded due to foreign invasions and internal strife, leaving its people yearning for revival. In 332 BC, as the sun bathed the Nile in gold, a young Macedonian king named Alexander appeared. Barely in his 20s, Alexander the Great had already carved a path of conquest across the known world. His eyes were set on the Persian Empire, which spanned from the Aegean Sea to India. In just 2 years, he had crushed Persian power in battles like Issus, defeating King Darius III, and had taken the cities of Tyre and Gaza. As Alexander approached Egypt's borders, anticipation hung in the air. The land was under Persian rule, governed by satraps who had oppressed the Egyptians. Memories lingered of Persian kings like Cambyses II and Artaxerxes III, accused of desecrating temples and killing the sacred Apis bull, an affront to Egyptian faith. The Egyptians, burdened by these offences, watched as Alexander's army neared. But instead of resistance, Alexander was welcomed with open arms. Egyptian priests and nobles saw him as a liberator who would free them from Persian domination. The Persian governor surrendered without a fight. As Alexander entered Memphis, the traditional capital along the Nile, the city erupted in celebration. Amid Memphis's grandeur, with its towering temples and bustling bazaars, Alexander showed wisdom beyond his years. He honored his Macedonian heritage by hosting Greek athletic games and musical contests, filling the air with music and cheers. Yet he also immersed himself in Egyptian culture. Most profoundly, he paid homage to the Apis bull, a sacred animal symbolizing kingship and divinity. In the sanctuaries of Memphis, Alexander approached the priests of Apis. The bull, adorned with divine symbols, embodied Ptah in life and Osiris after death. By sacrificing to Apis, Alexander did more than perform a ritual. He bridged two worlds. The Egyptians saw in him a ruler who respected their gods and traditions, a stark contrast to past Persian sacrilege. Word spread along the Nile. The new pharaoh honored the old ways. This gesture resonated deeply with the people. In the Serapeum at Saqqara, where massive granite sarcophagi housed mummified Apis bulls, priests might have whispered prayers of gratitude. Though it's uncertain if Alexander visited these catacombs, his reverence left an indelible mark. As the sun set over the Nile, casting shadows across the temples, Alexander stood at destiny's crossroads. Egypt had embraced him, and he embraced its spirit. He was no longer just a conqueror, he was becoming part of Egypt's eternal story. But his journey was far from over. The whispers of oracles and the allure of divine favor beckoned him further. Greater challenges and revelations awaited, a path that would intertwine his fate with Egypt in unimaginable ways. With the Nile receding behind him, Alexander gazed toward the Mediterranean. An idea took root, a city bearing his name, standing as a beacon of knowledge and culture. On shores where sea met delta, he founded Alexandria. Meticulously planned with wide avenues and grand edifices, the city embodied a fusion of Greek and Egyptian aesthetics. It was to be a hub where scholars and merchants from all corners converged. Yet a deeper calling stirred within Alexander, a yearning to understand his place in the cosmos. Tales reached him of the Oracle of Amun at the Siwa Oasis, a mystical sanctuary deep in the Libyan desert where gods spoke through priests. Undeterred by the treacherous journey, Alexander led a small contingent across unforgiving sands. The desert tested them with scorching days and cold nights, but they pressed on, guided by omens and stars. At last, Siwa's verdant palms emerged like a mirage made real. Upon arrival, priests greeted Alexander with reverence, calling him the son of Amun, a declaration that shook him. Entering the sacred temple, he stood before the god's effigy, the air thick with incense and ancient weight. What transpired remains a mystery, but when he emerged, his countenance had changed. The divine had spoken, affirming his destiny not just as a king, but as a god among men. This revelation was more than personal enlightenment. It was a powerful tool. Proclaimed the son of Amun, whom Greeks identified with Zeus, Alexander's authority now had divine backing. This elevated status resonated in Egypt, where pharaohs were seen as gods on earth. Returning, Alexander's army rested along the Nile's banks. Soldiers mingled with locals. Stories were exchanged, cultures intertwined. In spring 331 BC, with the Nile rising, Alexander prepared to depart. His gaze turned eastward toward Persia's remaining might, but Egypt had left its mark on him. Evidence of his impact endured long after. In Thebes, at Luxor Temple, artisans carved his likeness into stone. Within the holiest chambers, Alexander was depicted not as a foreign conqueror, but as a traditional Egyptian pharaoh. Clad in royal regalia, he offered tributes to gods like Amun-Ra, his features immortalized alongside ancient rulers. These images were more than art. They symbolized a new era. Alexander's embrace of Egyptian customs signified a cultural fusion that would shape the region for centuries. Egyptians saw in him a continuation of their divine lineage. Greeks found in Egypt a wellspring of wisdom. As years unfolded, Alexandria flourished beyond imagination. The great library amassed knowledge from across the world, becoming a beacon of learning. The lighthouse of pharaohs rose from the harbour, its light guiding sailors, a metaphor for the enlightenment the city offered. But fate is inexorable. At 32, Alexander's life was cut short, his vast empire left without its unifying force. In Egypt, however, his legacy endured. The Ptolemaic dynasty, founded by his general Ptolemy, continued the synthesis of Greek and Egyptian cultures. Cleopatra, the last of the Ptolemies, became a symbol of this enduring fusion. His footprints may have faded, but his influence is carved into Egypt's bedrock. The stories, monuments, and cultural tapestry bear witness to when history was forever altered. Alexander the Great became more than a name. He became a legend woven into Egypt's eternal narrative. If you were captivated by this journey, then prepare to be amazed by our next adventure. Join us as we delve even deeper into Egypt's enigmatic past, exploring evidence that hints at a technologically advanced pre-Egyptian civilization. We'll uncover startling discoveries at Osirion, Zoyet El Aryan, and the Serapeum of Saqqara, questioning everything we thought we knew about ancient Egypt. Witness the incredible alignment of the Giza pyramids with Orion's belt, and marvel at their precise construction, suggesting profound astronomical and engineering knowledge. We quote, "L uncover potential evidence of advanced tools and methods used in ancient Egypt, challenging conventional views and raising new questions about the capabilities of this ancient civilization." Don quote Tanis, Journey to Egypt's Enigmatic Past. The Serapeum of Saqqara, nestled near Cairo, holds one of ancient Egypt's most puzzling enigmas. Enormous granite boxes, often considered to be sarcophagi. These immense boxes, carved from single blocks of granite with an astonishing level of precision, continue to baffle archaeologists, engineers, and historians. How did the ancient Egyptians craft these structures with such detail and accuracy, sparking ongoing debates about their origins? These boxes are far from ordinary stone coffins. Each is crafted from a single block of granite, known for its extreme hardness and difficulty to work with. Some of these boxes, complete with their lids, weigh as much as 70 tons, while the raw blocks they were carved from likely weighed over 200 tons. What's truly remarkable is the precision of the craftsmanship. The corners are perfectly squared, and the surfaces are so smooth they seem to rival modern machinery in accuracy. Achieving this level of exactness, especially millennia ago, raises the question: did the ancient Egyptians possess technology beyond what we've ever imagined? The interior of these boxes is equally awe-inspiring. While the smooth exteriors are impressive enough, the flawless precision on the inside seems even more impossible. How did they hollow out these massive granite blocks with such accuracy, given the tools thought to be available at the time? Copper tools, often credited to the Egyptians, would have been insufficient for the task, and the uniform thickness of the walls suggests the use of sophisticated measurement techniques far ahead of their time. Such uniformity in these boxes is unparalleled in other Egyptian artifacts, leading to more questions. Hollowing out these granite blocks would have required not just immense labor, but an advanced understanding of stone-cutting techniques that we still don't fully comprehend. Conventional explanations, primarily focusing on copper tools, fall short when compared to the remarkable precision of these boxes. How then did the Egyptians achieve this level of perfection? Some theories propose that the builders had access to lost technology, perhaps advanced tools or machinery, now forgotten in the annals of history. Researchers speculate about high-speed drills, diamond-tipped saws, or other sophisticated equipment. The notion of advanced technology in ancient Egypt is controversial, yet the evidence presented by these granite boxes continues to fuel this debate. Adding to the mystery is the question of purpose. While traditionally believed to be sarcophagi for the sacred Apis bulls, the excessive craftsmanship for mere burials raises doubts. Could these boxes have served a more complex function, perhaps related to energy manipulation or another unknown scientific process? This question remains unanswered and continues to intrigue modern researchers. Even transporting these massive boxes presents an engineering challenge. The narrow and winding underground tunnels of the Serapeum would have made moving the 70-ton boxes an extraordinary feat, requiring advanced knowledge of engineering or transportation. Additionally, there are no visible signs of torches or burn marks in the tunnels. How did they light these spaces while moving such colossal objects? Despite the many mysteries, mainstream archaeologists attribute the precision and craftsmanship of the Serapeum boxes to the skill and patience of ancient Egyptian stoneworkers. They argue that, over generations, the Egyptians perfected their techniques, achieving incredible accuracy through dedication rather than technology. Critics of the advanced technology theory maintain that there is no concrete evidence supporting the existence of machines or sophisticated tools during the time these boxes were created. Yet, as more of these boxes are discovered throughout Egypt, the questions multiply. Across the country, similar examples of giant granite boxes exist, each demonstrating the same level of craftsmanship and precision. This suggests the possibility of a forgotten technology, one far beyond what is traditionally accepted in the study of ancient Egypt. One example, found in the Cairo Museum, displays an irregular slanted cut that was likely abandoned due to an error in the process. But this mistake tells more than expected. It reveals the possibility of a highly advanced cutting method. The cut extends deep into the granite, an impossible feat with traditional copper chisels or saws. The precision hints at the use of circular saws or similar tools capable of cutting through granite with speed and accuracy. Traditional theories suggest that the Egyptians used slow copper-based saws to cut granite. However, modern attempts to replicate this technique resulted in an excruciatingly slow cutting rate of only 4 millimeters per hour. At such a pace, it's implausible that ancient artisans wouldn't have corrected the significant deviation seen in the error. The precision of the cut suggests the use of advanced machinery far beyond what is typically attributed to ancient Egypt. Similar saw marks have been observed on other granite boxes, some of which are also displayed at the Cairo Museum. These marks resemble those made by modern band saws, but appear to indicate an even higher operational speed. Contemporary granite cutting saws rely on diamond-encrusted blades, technology believed to be far out of reach for the ancient Egyptians. Yet the marks persist, challenging our understanding of the tools available in that era. Adding to the intrigue are the perfectly round tube drill holes found in various granite artifacts throughout Egypt. The depth and uniformity of these holes suggest the use of advanced drills, possibly equipped with diamond-tipped tools. One of the most striking examples is Core 7, a cylindrical piece of granite discovered near the Great Pyramids. The continuous spiral groove on Core 7 resembles the groove of a vinyl record. In fact, modern machinery that could produce such a result would require high-speed rotation and diamond-tipped tools, technologies not associated with ancient Egypt. Core 7's spiral grooves suggest a force and precision greater than modern power drills, raising the question of whether the Egyptians, or a lost civilization, had access to technology now lost to history. Across Egypt, the evidence of these granite boxes continues to challenge mainstream views. Could these artifacts have been created by a lost civilization with advanced technology? Or are we simply missing a piece of the puzzle regarding how the Egyptians worked with stone? The precision, craftsmanship, and technology evident in these objects suggest that they were made with methods we don't yet understand. The most extraordinary example of precision stonework may be the granite box discovered beneath the pyramid at Lahun. Within a polished granite chamber, lies a tilted box with 4 corners so perfectly aligned that modern measurement tools reveal almost no discrepancy. Another similar box was found at Mastaba 17, buried beneath a pile of mud bricks. Both examples display precision that raises questions about their origin and purpose. Could these boxes have been repurposed by the Egyptians, who may have inherited them from a lost civilization? The mystery of these granite boxes remains unsolved. Could they represent the remnants of a prehistoric civilization with knowledge far beyond our current understanding? Perhaps this explains why these objects were later used by the Egyptians for seemingly simple purposes like sarcophagi, because they, like us today, did not fully understand their true purpose. If you enjoyed this video, then prepare to embark on an extraordinary journey. Our next adventure takes us to the heart of Egypt, where we'll unravel the mystery surrounding an ancient pharaoh shrouded in legend. This extraordinary ruler was said to be half human, reigning for an astonishing 16,000 years, a feat that defies the boundaries of modern science. It's a story filled with intrigue and enigma, one that's bound to leave you questioning the very limits of our understanding. Imagine if fragments of secret knowledge from ancient civilizations had survived through time, reaching us only in cryptic symbols that were indecipherable to all but a select few. Such hidden knowledge would be expressed in a language accessible only to initiates, guarding its deeper meaning from the masses. In southern Egypt, within the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, lies artwork that has intrigued researchers for generations. At first glance, the carvings seem like nothing more than ornate art objects, but when viewed together, in a specific arrangement, they provoke a profound question. Could this be an encoded representation of advanced technology? The artwork in question is carved on the panels inside the temple, hidden within its underground crypts, places not meant for the eyes of casual visitors. This has led some to believe that the carvings might represent secret knowledge, deliberately stylized to obscure their true meaning. Much like Francis Bacon's method of steganography, where a message is hidden within another message or object, these artistic depictions may conceal a deeper truth. Could the symbols be an encrypted representation of ancient technology, with connectors, coils, and electrical components disguised as sacred motifs? The most striking image found inside the temple is one that appears repeatedly across 6 panels, a large bulb-like object, emerging from a lotus flower at the base. Below the bulb are human figures. One of them appears connected to the object, while others stand with open arms facing a serpent-like figure. There is also a figure with a tail and 2 knives, commonly interpreted as the god Thoth. Below the entire scene stands the Djed pillar, often described as the backbone of Osiris, with the bulb interpreted by Egyptologists as a representation of the placenta, inside of which coils the snake. This imagery has come to be known as the Dendera light, and some researchers believe it could represent something much more than spiritual symbolism, perhaps an ancient form of technology. The stylized motifs resemble elements of modern electrical apparatuses, such as frequency transformers, with the Djed pillar mirroring the structure of modern radio frequency transformers. Could the Djed actually be a piece of operational equipment disguised as a religious symbol? Consider the possibility. Ancient priests, unfamiliar with modern electrical devices, might have described these objects in terms familiar to them, such as the backbone of a god. Supporting this theory is the legend that the goddess Hathor, to whom the temple is dedicated, was said to have used certain objects to heal people. This brings us to one of the first high-frequency transformers in modern history, the Udin coil, a device related to the more famous Tesla coil. When connected to handheld electrodes, this coil was used in early medical treatments to apply high voltage to the patient's body. A dramatic violet glow would appear when the electrode was energized, similar to what one might imagine from the glowing bulb depicted in the Dendera relief. The technology of high-voltage medical devices, like the vacuum tube electrode, bears striking resemblance to the artistic representation in the temple. Could it be that the Djed pillar functioned as a high-frequency transformer, and the bulbs as primitive electric lamps or even X-ray tubes? The similarities between the Crux tube, a device used in early X-ray machines, and the Dendera bulb are too striking to ignore. The Crux tube, developed in the late 19th century, created a glowing effect when powered by high voltage. If we overlay the design of the Crux tube with the Dendera images, the match is almost perfect, not just in appearance, but in function. The placement of the anode in the Crux tube is identical to the Djed pillar in the artwork. Is it possible that the ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge of electromagnetic phenomena long before modern science uncovered it? The notion that ancient Egyptians may have been familiar with advanced technology seems outlandish to many. But consider this: the first high-frequency transformers and radio frequency technology were not invented until the early 20th century. Yet the resemblance between these devices and the Dendera reliefs is striking. When Auguste Mariette published his fundamental work on the Temple of Dendera in the late 19th century, Thomas Edison had not yet invented the incandescent light bulb. It wasn't until Sir William Crookes, with his famous Crookes tubes, began experimenting with radiant matter and high voltage that the concept of X-rays and plasma became a reality. Crookes's experiments with vacuum tubes were groundbreaking, allowing Röntgen to discover X-rays in 1895. When these early X-ray machines are compared to the Dendera imagery, the structural similarities are difficult to dismiss. Even the floral design in the artwork mirrors the part of the Crookes tube where the electrical connections would be made. Some researchers, such as Italian inventor and engineer Dr. Clarbruno Verduccio, argue that the similarity between the Crookes tubes and the Dendera artwork is far too precise to be coincidence. A similar approach is seen in an issue of Scientific American, which published a diagram for amateur scientists showing how to build a small high-voltage generator to create plasma discharge in a lamp tube, essentially a DIY X-ray generator. The design in the magazine and the one depicted in Dendera align almost perfectly. This plasma discharge could pass through materials, much like modern X-rays. Could the ancient Egyptians have harnessed a similar technology, using it to generate light or explore materials? On another panel in Dendera, we see an object with what appears to be lines extending from it, often referred to as a necklace, but possibly an artistic rendering of electrical wires. The spheres on the lines could well be insulators, similar to those used in modern electrical equipment. This type of insulator was used in appliances until the late 20th century to manage high voltages and temperatures. The object in the relief seems to be connected to a battery-like device, similar to early electrical circuits used in combustion engines. Could the ancient Egyptians have developed an electric pulse generator hidden in plain sight through the language of symbolism? One of the most famous examples of ancient electricity is the Baghdad battery, a device capable of producing small amounts of electrical current when filled with vinegar. This shows that ancient cultures had at least a basic understanding of electricity. On one of the Dendera panels, there is a depiction of what appears to be a voltaic pile, similar to the first electrical battery created by physicist Alessandro Volta in 1794. Was this technology used to manipulate materials or to activate the glowing properties of gems, as suggested in some ancient legends? One of the most intriguing possibilities is that the high priest's breastplate, mentioned in biblical texts, glowed with radiant light to communicate divine messages. The mystery of Dendera only deepens as we explore these possibilities. If such advanced technology existed in ancient Egypt, it's likely that much of it was lost, either destroyed or looted by invading cultures. Copper coils and precious metals from such devices would have been valuable commodities, likely scavenged and repurposed. Yet the artwork remains, a time capsule etched in stone, hinting at a lost era of technological prowess far ahead of its time. For centuries, the Great Sphinx of Giza has stood as a silent guardian of Egypt's Giza Plateau, watching over the pyramids and the Nile. Its lion's body and human head have inspired myths, legends, and scholarly debate. But beneath its imposing form lies a deeper enigma. What secrets does the Sphinx hold? And who were the architects behind its creation? The rediscovery of the Sphinx happened long after its original construction. For much of its history, it was almost entirely buried under sand, with only its head visible. In 1817, Italian explorer Captain Giovanni Battista Caviglia led an early excavation, clearing some of the sand to reveal more of the body. Yet, there were no signs of entrances or hidden chambers. The major breakthrough came in the 1920s and 1930s, when French Egyptologist Émile Barrès conducted a more systematic excavation, fully exposing the Sphinx's body. Evidence of subterranean passages led to speculation about what lay beneath this ancient monument. Could this be the legendary Hall of Records, a hidden repository of ancient knowledge? In the 1970s and 1980s, modern technology like ground-penetrating radar and seismographs was used by archaeologists such as Dr. Mark Lehner and John Anthony West. Their findings revealed anomalies, hollow spaces beneath the Sphinx, raising new questions. What were these voids for? Were they ritual chambers, tombs, or something more? These discoveries have sparked the imagination of both scholars and the public. Many speculate about ancient knowledge hidden within these tunnels and chambers which remain largely unexplored. The idea of the Hall of Records, a fabled repository of wisdom from a pre-dynastic civilization, persists, though no solid evidence has confirmed its existence. As for the dimensions of these hidden spaces, some tunnels extend nearly 30 meters, with chambers reaching heights of 5 meters. The complexity and scale of these cavities astonish researchers, as their construction would have required precise engineering to avoid damaging the Sphinx above. Could a civilization over 4,000 years ago really have achieved this with primitive tools? One particularly mysterious feature is a metal hatch discovered on the Sphinx's head during a 20th century restoration. While some believe it's a modern addition for maintenance, others suggest more fantastical possibilities. Was this hatch a secret entry to hidden chambers? Could it be a relic of a lost technology designed by the builders for some unknown purpose? The question remains, who built the Sphinx, and how did they achieve such a perfect blend of form and function? The Sphinx is an impressive 240 feet long, 66 feet high, and 62 feet wide. Carved from a single mass of limestone bedrock, its weight is estimated at 200 tons. Its dimensions are comparable to a modern football field, and its height rivals a 6-story building. Given the rudimentary copper tools available to the ancient Egyptians, this achievement seems almost impossible. While scholars attribute the construction of the Sphinx to Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE, some researchers believe it may be much older. Evidence of water erosion suggests the Sphinx may have been exposed to heavy rainfall centuries ago, dating it to as early as 10,000 BCE. This theory challenges conventional timelines, suggesting the Sphinx was built by an even older, lost civilization. Could the Sphinx have been constructed by a forgotten culture, equipped with knowledge and technology far beyond what we attribute to the Egyptians? The discovery of hidden chambers beneath the monument only adds to this speculation. Were these spaces used to store ancient texts, or perhaps to honor deities through ritualistic practices? Yet, as we uncover more about the Sphinx, the techniques used to build it remain just as mysterious. How did these ancient builders move and shape the enormous stone blocks? Theories abound about the construction methods. It is believed that tens of thousands of laborers worked together, using wooden sledges and water-lubricated sand to transport massive stones across the desert. While modern experiments have shown this method is possible, some argue that a lost technology or unknown knowledge must have been involved. More speculative theories propose that the builders might have used advanced tools or sound resonance to manipulate the stone. The deeper we dig into the mysteries of the Sphinx, the more questions we uncover. But one thing is certain. As we continue to explore the hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, the story of its creation grows ever more fascinating. History, it seems, is never truly set in stone. New discoveries and secrets lie waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not what the Sphinx reveals, but what it continues to keep hidden. In the shadow of the Sphinx, we are left wondering, who built this ancient monument and why? How did they achieve such precision, and what was the true purpose of the Sphinx and its surrounding megastructures? The most common theory is that the Sphinx was commissioned by Pharaoh Khafre, who also built the second-largest pyramid on the Giza plateau. But some evidence calls this theory into question. Water erosion patterns on the Sphinx's body suggest it could be far older, possibly dating back to 10,000 BCE, when Egypt experienced heavier rainfall. If this is true, it would mean the Sphinx predates the Egyptian civilization by thousands of years, suggesting the existence of a forgotten culture. Could this lost civilization have been responsible for building the Sphinx? And if so, why are there no other traces of their presence? These questions fuel conspiracy theories that continue to captivate the imagination. One theory proposes that the Sphinx was built not as a tomb, but as an astronomical observatory. Its alignment with the constellation Leo during the vernal equinox suggests a connection to the stars, possibly serving as a marker of time or even a communication device with other worlds. Another theory suggests that the Sphinx and pyramids were part of an ancient energy system. Some believe the pyramids were energy generators, with the Sphinx acting as a control mechanism. The alignment of these structures with the Earth's magnetic field, combined with their proximity to the Nile, supports this idea. Though no concrete evidence backs this claim, it remains a compelling alternative explanation for their purpose. But the mysteries don't stop there. What other secrets might be hidden beneath the Sphinx? Beneath the Sphinx, unexplored chambers continue to spark speculation. Could these be the fabled Hall of Records? According to legend, this hidden vault contains the lost wisdom of an ancient civilization, possibly Atlantis. Though no one has conclusively discovered it, the search for the Hall of Records continues to intrigue explorers. And then, there are those who believe the Sphinx's builders had help from beyond this world. Extraterrestrial theories surrounding the Sphinx have persisted for decades. Some claim that the precision and scale of its construction are too advanced for the period, suggesting ancient Egyptians had assistance from extraterrestrial visitors. While this remains in the realm of science fiction, it highlights the fascination the Sphinx holds over the human imagination. Yet, even without the intervention of alien hands, the Sphinx and its surrounding pyramids are marvels of engineering. As we stand before the Sphinx, we are left with more questions than answers. What was its true purpose? Who were its builders? And why does it continue to mystify us after thousands of years? And so, the great Sphinx of Giza remains, watching over the desert, guarding secrets that may never be fully understood. What lies beneath its pores, in hidden chambers, or in the past still waiting to be uncovered? Only time, and perhaps future discoveries, will reveal the answers. Until then, the Sphinx will keep its secrets, waiting patiently for the day when we are ready to understand what it truly has to tell us. A desolate landscape stretches before us, a mere 185 kilometers northeast of the iconic pyramids of Giza. Here lies Tanis, a city shrouded in mystery, once a place of immense power and sacred significance. The ancient Egyptians called it Janet, the City of the Sun, a holy site dedicated to Amun-Ra, the god of the sun and creation. This is what met the eyes of the first explorers in 1878, a scene of utter devastation. The soil, barren and unforgiving, supports little life save for a few resilient thorny bushes. Priceless statues bear the scars of intense heat. Gigantic stone pillars lie smashed and broken, like forgotten toys of giants. Was this city cursed, struck down by the wrath of gods, or was it simply abandoned to the ravages of time? Let's rewind the clock. Tanis, known as Janet, Zoan in the Old Testament, and today as San el Hagar, is a name whispered throughout history. Egyptologists generally agree it rose to prominence during the 21st dynasty, between 1069 and 945 BC, supplanting Thebes as Egypt's capital. But the narrative is far more complex. The discovery of massive Old Kingdom statues and artifacts within its ruins hints at a far more ancient origin, lost in the mists of time. Imagine a city dominated by an enormous temple complex dedicated to Amun-Ra, a royal palace. Bustling residential areas, all built with colossal granite pillars. These weren't just any stones. We're talking about 20 to 30-ton monoliths, painstakingly quarried, carved, and transported over 1,000 kilometers from Aswan in southern Egypt. Even with today's technology, this would be a monumental undertaking. Tanis was no vulnerable settlement. Fortifications, including massive walls and gates, were erected to defend against invaders. Picture walls, 70 feet thick, soaring 50 feet high, constructed from over 20 million mud bricks, each one potentially adorned with hieroglyphs and reliefs, a testament to the city's grandeur. Sadly, only fragments of these walls remain, eroded by millennia of wind and sand. Beyond its spiritual and political importance, Tanis has yielded some truly staggering megalithic artifacts. Our understanding of this city partially stems from Napoleon Bonaparte's 1798 expedition. He claimed 2 pink granite sphinxes, now housed in the Louvre, silent witnesses to Tanis's past. Countless other massive granite statues and artifacts have been unearthed, gracing museums worldwide, while others remain in Tanis, now an open-air museum. But perhaps the most mind-boggling discovery is a colossal foot, unearthed by the renowned Flinders Petrie in the late 1800s. Based on his meticulous scalings and comparisons to other colossi, Petrie estimated the original statue to have stood a staggering 100 feet tall. This is double the height of the colossi of Memnon. How did a civilization using seemingly primitive tools, copper chisels and wooden rollers, carve, transport, and erect a statue weighing an estimated 1,500 tons? It's a feat comparable to building the Statue of Liberty. The mind reels at the sheer scale of this undertaking. In 1939, French Egyptologist Pierre Montet made a discovery that should have rivaled Howard Carter's find in the Valley of the Kings. He uncovered the royal tomb complex at Tanis, containing 3 intact burial chambers. The treasures within were breathtaking: golden masks, bracelets, tableware, necklaces, and ornate sarcophagi, all crafted with exquisite artistry. Had it not been for the outbreak of World War II, these treasures would undoubtedly be as famous as Tutankhamun's. Even today, Montet's discoveries at Tanis are relatively unknown, overshadowed by the more publicized finds. The exact cause of Tanis's decline remains a puzzle. The conventional narrative, favored by many Egyptologists, points to a shift in political power, with cities like Sais and eventually Alexandria rising to prominence. The changing course of the Nile is another factor. As the river shifted, it likely caused flooding and erosion, rendering the area less habitable. However, let's delve deeper. If the city was simply abandoned, wouldn't the inhabitants have taken their valuables? Why leave behind hoards of treasure? The photographs from the initial rediscovery of Tanis reveal a scene of almost biblical destruction. And perhaps there's a reason for that. Remember, Tanis is the biblical zone. In Ezekiel 30:14, the prophet foretells its doom. "I will lay waste to Upper Egypt, set fire to Zoan, and inflict punishment on Thebes." Could this be a clue? Egypt's fertile lands and strategic location have made it a battleground for millennia. Alexander the Great, the Sasanian Persians, and the Crusaders all marched through this region, leaving their mark. Could fierce battles have contributed to Tanis's destruction? Earthquakes too have plagued Egypt throughout history. While they could explain some of the damage, they don't account for the scorch marks found on many artifacts. Look closely at this statue. The right side of its face shows clear signs of intense heat. Granite requires temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius to exhibit such damage. Was this divine retribution, a lightning strike, a meteor airburst, or the result of a more earthly weapon? One intriguing possibility is Greek fire, a devastating incendiary weapon used by the Eastern Roman Empire from around 672 AD. This terrifying concoction, likely a mixture of naphtha and quicklime, could ignite upon contact with water and was projected from flame-throwing devices. Could Greek fire have been used to raise Tanis? While primarily a naval weapon, it's conceivable that Greek fire, or a similar incendiary technology, could have been adapted for land-based warfare. The destruction at Tanis, particularly the scorched stone that requires temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius to achieve, aligns with the potential destructive power of such a weapon. While the spectre of Greek fire is certainly captivating, there's another, perhaps more grounded explanation for the intense fire damage at Tanis. We must remember that Tanis was a major religious and administrative center for centuries. It's conceivable that large-scale industrial or ritualistic activities involving intense, sustained heat took place within the city. It's important to note that this explanation doesn't necessarily contradict the others. A natural disaster, a battle, or even an attack using incendiary weapons could have triggered the initial blaze, which then escalated due to the presence of industrial or ritualistic activities, or simply because of the abundance of flammable materials within the city. This scenario, while perhaps less dramatic than divine wrath or ancient superweapons, is firmly rooted in the realities of daily life in an ancient city. It reminds us that even seemingly mundane activities, when combined with unfortunate circumstances, can have a profound and lasting impact on the historical record. The fire marks at Tanis, therefore, could be a testament not to a single catastrophic event, but to the complex interplay of human activity and the ever-present threat of fire in a world before modern fire prevention and suppression techniques. So, the sands of Tanis hold their secrets still. Was this once great city ravaged by the wrath of gods, as the ancient texts suggest? The story of Tanis is a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, buried beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered, reinterpreted, and perhaps to teach us lessons that resonate even in our own time. Nestled near the Fayum oasis, the Hawara pyramid site may appear unremarkable today, but to ancient historians it was a place of awe and grandeur. Herodotus, often called the father of history, described it in terms that still leave modern scholars in awe. He recounted that compared to the labyrinth he encountered, even the grandest Greek temples and pyramids paled in both effort and expense. It was a structure of such enormous scale and complexity that it surpassed even the famous pyramids of Egypt. For centuries, however, many dismissed his account as fanciful or exaggerated, especially given Herodotus's reputation for embellishment. However, as time passed, more of his descriptions have been vindicated, particularly regarding his accounts of Lake Moeris near Hawara. He spoke of two pyramids rising nearly 93 meters above the surface of the water, each crowned with a seated stone statue. In the late 19th century, famed British archaeologist Flinders Petrie confirmed the presence of two seated colossi, each about 18 meters high and made of hard quartzite sandstone. This discovery was one of many that would lend credence to Herodotus's words. The site of the Hawara pyramid holds far more than just these statues. When researchers began to investigate the pyramid itself, they unearthed evidence of remarkable ancient engineering. Despite its present appearance, a crumbling pile of dark mud, the pyramid conceals a megalithic core built with astounding precision. Beneath its decayed exterior, the masonry is of exceptional quality, with blocks fitted so tightly that not even a blade could slip between them. This core represents two distinct types of ancient technologies. One, the megalithic stone core, and the other, a more fragile mud brick construction that has long since crumbled. Flinders Petrie, a pioneer in the study of ancient Egyptian architecture, was the first to delve into this mystery in detail. He noted that the stone casing of the pyramid had been removed during Roman times, leaving the interior exposed to the elements. Unlike other pyramids of the time, the entrance to this one was on the south side, not the north, and lay at ground level. It was designed with descending passages that had ramps on both sides, resembling a system for moving heavy cargo. This unique layout distinguished the Hawara pyramid from others in Egypt, leading Petrie to believe that its original purpose may have been different from typical pyramids. One of the most astonishing aspects of the structure is its system of trapdoors. Massive stone slabs weighing around 20 tons each, designed to seal off passageways. Petrie discovered 3 such trapdoors, all of which had been left open. His exploration of the pyramid led him to a central chamber carved from a single block of quartzite sandstone, forming a large tank-like structure in which a sarcophagus was placed. This colossal monolith, weighing over 110 tons, had been hewn with such precision, Petrie marveled at the technical skill required to carve and place such an enormous block of stone into a carefully excavated hollow. What truly puzzled Petrie, however, was the design of the tomb itself. There was no visible entrance, and the only way the pharaoh's body could have been placed inside would have been during the construction of the pyramid. Even more curiously, no inscriptions were found inside the chamber or on the sarcophagus, a rarity for a royal tomb. Instead, Petrie found only traces of charred bones, charcoal, and remnants of burnt diorite, suggesting that whatever had once been inside the sarcophagus had been deliberately destroyed by fire. The mystery deepened when Petrie examined a second sarcophagus in the chamber, one that appeared to have been added after the pyramid's construction. This later addition was smaller and lacked the technical precision of the original sarcophagus, raising questions about the purpose and timeline of the additions to the tomb. It was as though the pyramid had been used for multiple, distinct purposes over time, each contributing to its enigmatic history. While Petrie focused on the pyramid, he also uncovered evidence of a much larger structure nearby. The legendary labyrinth of Egypt, which had long been mentioned in ancient texts. Herodotus had described it as a massive complex of 3,000 rooms, arranged in a maze-like formation, some above ground and others below. He was forbidden from entering the underground chambers, as they were said to house the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles. Yet what Herodotus saw above ground left him awestruck, and later historians would echo his astonishment. Strabo, a Greek geographer who visited the site centuries later, described the labyrinth's monolithic ceilings and walls, each constructed from enormous slabs of stone. When Petrie began excavating the area in front of the Hawara pyramid, he uncovered evidence of this labyrinth beneath the remains of a later village. Beneath the village, he found layers of stone chips and fragments, the remains of what had once been an enormous stone structure. He concluded that this was indeed the foundation of the fabled labyrinth. His findings aligned with the ancient accounts. The structure was so large that, as he noted, it could have contained the temples of Karnak and Luxor within its boundaries. However, the labyrinth had long since been destroyed, its stones quarried and repurposed by later generations. All that remained were the foundations and fragments, a ghost of the massive structure that had once stood there. And yet, despite the extensive damage, Petrie's findings suggested that this labyrinth had been far more than just a building. It was a monumental work of engineering and architecture that had once awed the ancient world. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Hawara, it becomes clear that this site still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. The labyrinth described by Herodotus, Strabo, and other classical writers may not be entirely lost. In fact, modern technology has revealed tantalizing clues that suggest much of it may still lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered. In the 21st century, new technologies have allowed researchers to explore the Hawara site in ways that Petrie could only have dreamed of. Ground-penetrating radar and other advanced tools have given archaeologists the ability to peer beneath the surface without disturbing the ancient ruins. One such expedition in 2008, led by the Mataja project, a team of geophysicists, used radar technology to investigate the area beneath what Petrie had identified as the foundation of the labyrinth. What they discovered was nothing short of remarkable: a vast network of walls and chambers buried deep beneath the surface. Their findings suggested that what Petrie had thought was a foundation might actually have been the roof of the labyrinth, which could still exist underground. The radar scans revealed a grid of rooms and passageways at depths of 8 to 12 meters, confirming the existence of a colossal structure that matched the descriptions given by ancient historians. Despite the significance of these findings, the news was met with unexpected resistance. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, led by Zahi Hawass, requested that the results be withheld from the public, citing concerns about national security. The Mataja team faced delays and obstacles, but after 2 years, they were finally able to publish their report. Their findings supported the ancient accounts of a labyrinth that was far larger than any temple known in Egypt, a structure that had remained hidden beneath the sands for millennia. The labyrinth's complexity and scale raised even more questions about its purpose. Why would such an enormous structure be built underground, and what was it used for? Some researchers speculated that it could have been a secret repository, a place where valuable artifacts or knowledge were stored. Others suggested that it might have served as a ceremonial or religious center, its labyrinthine corridors and chambers designed to disorient and awe those who entered. One of the most intriguing aspects of the labyrinth is its apparent age. The orientation of the structure, which is tilted by 20 to 25 degrees compared to the nearby Hawara pyramid, suggests that it may be much older than the pyramid itself. If this is true, it raises the possibility that the labyrinth predates the pharaohs and could be a relic of a much earlier civilization. Despite the advances in technology, many mysteries remain unsolved. The subterranean chambers have yet to be fully explored, and no one knows what lies within them. Could the labyrinth still contain treasures or texts from an ancient era? Could it hold clues to the origins of the Egyptians or even earlier cultures that inhabited the region? For now, these questions remain unanswered, as the labyrinth remains buried beneath layers of earth and time. In the ancient city of Luxor, hidden within its majestic temple walls, lies a mystery that challenges modern understanding of ancient Egypt's science and philosophy. Egyptologist Shwala de Lubitsch, after 12 years of detailed study of the Temple of Luxor, proposed that the ancient Egyptians held a sophisticated and immutable knowledge, fully developed from the earliest dynasties. This knowledge, according to de Lubitsch, far surpassed that of other civilizations at the time, hinting at a deeper understanding of the universe. De Lubitsch's research into the temple's intricate carvings and architectural design led him to a remarkable discovery, which he called transparency in the stone blocks. While copying temple plans and examining wall carvings, he noticed tiny embedded stones in larger blocks, which had been previously dismissed as errors. De Lubitsch proposed that these stones were markers placed by the master builders for precise measurements. This realization spurred adjustments in his own measurements, leading to even more astonishing findings. He observed that carvings on opposite sides of some walls seemed to align in impossible ways, as if the stone between them was transparent, allowing the design to flow through. This phenomenon, which de Lubitsch likened to a see-through banknote, suggested a level of craftsmanship and intentionality that defied conventional understanding of ancient architecture. The temple's carvings could only be fully appreciated when viewed as a continuous design, transcending the physical stone. One striking example of this transparency is between Room 12 and Room 5 in the Temple of Luxor. A stone block separating these rooms features carvings that seem to project through the stone itself. In Room 12, a hieroglyph for cloth is carved, while in Room 5, a box for cloths appears. The two images fitting together as if the stone was transparent. The technical precision needed to achieve this effect raises profound questions about the knowledge and skills of the ancient builders. De Lubitsch's discoveries extended beyond transparency. He also identified transposition, where symbols and carvings were arranged across different parts of the temple to create multi-dimensional connections. For instance, Montu's solar disk in Room 2 is projected into the shrine of Amun-Ra's boat in Room 6. The boat's content is hidden, requiring the observer to explore multiple spaces to understand the intended meaning. These techniques suggest a level of philosophical and scientific depth in ancient Egyptian culture that modern Egyptology had long overlooked. De Lubitsch argued that the Egyptians weren't just concealing knowledge in their architecture, but were presenting a more profound, spatial form of understanding. By dividing concepts across different parts of the temple, the Egyptians created an environment where knowledge was experienced holistically, rather than as isolated facts or images. In his groundbreaking work on the Temple of Luxor, de Lubitsch revealed an entirely new architectural grammar. This grammar, found in the block's shapes, joints, and symbolic overlays, turned the Egyptian temple into a living library of knowledge, accessible only through deep study. His discoveries redefined how scholars approached ancient Egyptian architecture, leading to a re-evaluation of the intellectual achievements of this ancient civilization. The most revolutionary aspect of de Lubitsch's work was the realization that the meaning of inscriptions and symbols on one wall couldn't be fully understood without considering their relationships to the carvings around them. This interconnectivity suggested a three-dimensional approach to knowledge that engaged the observer on multiple levels. For de Lubitsch, the true purpose of transparency and transposition was not only to complete an idea, but to clarify it in a way that transcended traditional communication methods. As we explore the mysteries of the Temple of Luxor, it becomes clear that the ancient Egyptians had a unique understanding of art and science. Their use of transparency and transposition reflected a worldview that connected the physical and metaphysical, the material and immaterial. Transparency, in particular, hinted at a belief that solid matter was deceptive, with light, or knowledge itself, as the true fundamental reality. De Lubitsch's discoveries at the Temple of Luxor did more than challenge traditional views of Egyptian architecture. They opened the door to a new understanding of how the Egyptians viewed the world. Through transparency and transposition, de Lubitsch uncovered a sophisticated system of thought that extended beyond the temple. He believed that this system could be found in other artifacts, such as papyri, which contained multi-layered meanings to be understood holistically. Transparency, for example, was more than an architectural technique. It represented a deeper philosophical belief. By prioritizing light over solid matter, the Egyptians expressed a worldview that saw physical reality as secondary to the metaphysical. De Lubitsch suggested that this belief in the primacy of light explains why transparency was central to the Temple of Luxor's design. The stone blocks weren't just barriers, but conduits for knowledge and understanding. Transposition added yet another dimension to this philosophy, emphasizing the importance of seeing beyond the surface. To understand the temple fully, one had to move through it, experiencing the connections between different spaces and symbols. This design reflected an understanding of spatial awareness and perception that resonates with modern psychological theories, such as Gestalt. Gestalt psychology, which emerged in the early 20th century, focuses on the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Human perception organizes individual elements into a unified whole, rather than analyzing each part in isolation. De Lubitsch's work mirrors this idea, as he argued that the carvings and inscriptions in the temple were part of a larger, interconnected system. Just as Gestalt theory emphasizes the importance of perceiving the overall form, de Lubitsch focused on perceiving the entire meaning of the temple. De Lubitsch's discoveries lead to profound questions. Who were the true sources of this knowledge? Were the Egyptians responsible for developing these advanced ideas, or were they inheritors of wisdom passed down from an even older civilization? And what can these ancient ideas teach us about the nature of reality? By connecting ancient Egyptian concepts with modern scientific theories, we uncover new insights into the mysteries of the past, and the possibility that the answers to our most profound questions may lie not in the future, but in the distant past. If you liked this video, then you'll like our next adventure over in Turkey. Ever heard of a place older than Stonehenge? Göbekli Tepe is a mind-boggling puzzle of massive stone pillars and intricate carvings, built before the wheel even existed. Who were these ancient architects? And what secrets do these stones hold? Let's dive into this prehistoric mystery together. Imagine a world where time itself is a malleable force, where the boundary between life and death blurs, and immortality is no longer a dream, but a carefully guarded secret. This is the legend of Thoth, the mysterious god of wisdom from ancient Egypt. He is said to have discovered the key to eternal life, not through mysticism, but through methods that defy modern understanding. Could the ancient Egyptians have had access to technologies beyond our grasp, or is there something deeper hidden in the sands of time? Our journey begins at the Serapeum of Saqqara, an ancient site where massive stone boxes, weighing over 70 tons, were carved with such precision that even modern engineers are baffled. These boxes, made from solid diorite, one of the hardest stones in the world, seem impossible to have been created with the tools of the ancient world. But what if these were not merely tombs for the dead? What if they were advanced technologies, allowing beings like Thoth to rejuvenate and transfer their consciousness into new bodies, effectively cheating death? Legend tells us that Thoth would leave his body in one of these boxes for 100 years, allowing it to recharge and heal, while his essence continued in another form. Could this explain why Thoth, the god of knowledge, was so revered across cultures and millennia? If these rejuvenation chambers are real, could they hold the secrets to eternal life? And was Thoth's quest for immortality unique, or did others throughout history share this secret? To find more answers, we turn to Mesopotamia, where the Sumerian Kings list records the reigns of rulers who lived for tens of thousands of years. Among them were the Anunnaki, demigods with both divine and earthly attributes. Some reigned for 28,000 years, others for 14,000 years, lifespans that defy all reason. What could possibly explain these impossibly long reigns? Did these rulers possess knowledge that could extend their lives, similar to Thoth? Or was their understanding of life and genetic engineering even more advanced? The mystery deepens when we examine the Great Flood, a cataclysmic event mentioned in both Sumerian and biblical texts. This disaster marked the end of the antediluvian kings who ruled before the flood. Afterward, kingship was reintroduced, but the reigns were far shorter. Some rulers lived for hundreds of years, but the era of reigns stretching tens of thousands of years was over. Why did this change occur? Could it be that the Anunnaki, who once ruled humanity, decided to limit the power of their successors? The texts suggest that these new rulers were still connected to the divine, but they were no longer immortal. Could the Great Flood have been a deliberate reset of human civilization to control human potential, preventing any individual from becoming too powerful? This leads us to an intriguing connection between ancient myth and modern science, genetic engineering. We know today that the human genome contains a unique anomaly, chromosome number 2, which appears to have been artificially fused. Geneticists estimate that this fusion occurred around 200,000 years ago, a timeline that aligns with the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating humans. Could this be evidence of genetic modification? Were humans deliberately created to serve the Anunnaki, not just as laborers but as subordinates? Could our very lifespan, about 120 years, have been engineered as a form of control? Modern science also tells us that telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes, limit how many times a cell can divide. Once they degrade, we age and eventually die. In the Bible, It states that man's days shall be 120 years. Could this be a reflection of deliberate genetic tampering by the gods? Was humanity created with a built-in expiration date, ensuring we never lived long enough to rediscover the ancient knowledge of our creators? One of the most compelling stories supporting this theory is the Tower of Babel. Humans, united in their ambition, began constructing a tower to reach the heavens. Their goal was to reclaim the lost knowledge of the gods. But their efforts were stopped by Yahweh, also known as Enlil in Sumerian texts, who feared humanity was advancing too quickly. Enlil intervened, confusing their languages and scattering them across the earth. More importantly, he shortened human lifespans, ensuring no single generation would live long enough to challenge the gods again. Could the Tower of Babel have been more than just a symbol of human pride? Was it an effort to reclaim our lost potential, one that was deliberately suppressed by the gods? Could it be that our entire history has been shaped by a hidden agenda, a grand design orchestrated by beings like the Anunnaki? Have these forces deliberately limited human development to prevent us from reaching our full potential? Are our lifespans, societal divisions, and languages all part of a long-term plan to keep humanity from rediscovering its ancient knowledge? As we piece together this ancient puzzle, we are left with unsettling questions. Were we created with limitations deliberately set to keep us subservient? Could it be that the division of cultures and the loss of ancient knowledge were part of a grand design to control human progress? Or is there a forgotten history, a legacy waiting to be rediscovered, that could unlock the mysteries of our origins, and perhaps our future? But what if these stories are not just myths? What if they are fragments of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that could offer profound insight into the hidden history of human existence? Let's return to the idea of genetic manipulation. Modern science has uncovered a unique anomaly in the human genome, chromosome 2, fused in a way that no other species on Earth exhibits. This genetic event is believed to have occurred around 200,000 years ago, a timeline eerily close to the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating humans for labor. If this fusion was deliberate, what does it mean for humanity? Could we have been engineered to serve the needs of an advanced race wielding power beyond our understanding? Here's the real question. Could we still be under this influence today? As we unlock the mysteries of the human genome, are we on the verge of rediscovering the knowledge hidden from us for thousands of years? Could telomeres, once thought to be a natural limitation, hold the key to extending life far beyond what we've believed is possible? And if so, are there still forces at play, preventing humanity from rising to its full potential? The truth may be hidden in ancient texts, unexplored history, or perhaps even encoded within our DNA. As we continue to explore these mysteries, the lines between myth, science, and reality will blur. The question remains, are we ready to discover the truth? Beneath the Giza plateau, near the Great Sphinx and pyramids, lies a mysterious structure that may reshape our understanding of ancient Egypt. Known as the Osiris shaft, this subterranean complex challenges conventional timelines. Could it predate the pyramids? And what was its true purpose? Recent discoveries and a groundbreaking dating method have led Egyptologists to rethink what they thought they knew about this ancient civilization. The Osiris shaft descends 35 meters into the bedrock beneath the causeway leading to the Sphinx. It comprises multiple levels, with the lowest chamber housing a granite sarcophagus surrounded by water. This chamber is sometimes referred to as the Tomb of Osiris. But what exactly was this structure intended for? Its purpose remains shrouded in mystery, with no clear answers in sight. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Osiris shaft is the unusual material used in one of the sarcophagi. Egyptologists discovered a stone unlike anything previously found in Egypt. How did it end up here, deep in the bedrock? Even stranger, the structure itself seems to have been designed without easy access in mind. There are no steps or ladders leading down to its depths. The ones installed now were placed there by modern archaeologists, suggesting that the ancient builders had no intention of facilitating frequent visits. The logistics of moving the massive sarcophagi, some weighing up to 40 tons, further deepen the mystery. How were they lowered with such precision into the shaft, which itself was not designed for easy entry or exit? The precision required to lower these gigantic objects without error suggests a technological ability that we do not fully understand. One sarcophagus found on the second level was particularly remarkable. It was covered in a thin film of bitumen, with a metallic coating beneath it. This metal, containing elements like lead and zinc, is puzzling. Why use a metallic coating inside a sarcophagus? Lead, in particular, raises questions, as it is known today for its use in radiation shielding. Could the ancient Egyptians have been aware of this? Moreover, measurements showed unusually high levels of gamma radiation inside the sarcophagus, further hinting at a function beyond burial. The method used to date one of these sarcophagi, called optical thermoluminescence, measures the last time the stone was exposed to light. The results suggested a date as far back as 3,350 BCE, centuries before the accepted construction dates of the pyramids. This implies that the Osiris shaft could predate the pyramids and the earliest dynasties of Egypt. What's even more curious is the material of one sarcophagus, dacite, an igneous rock not found anywhere in Egypt. In fact, after consulting with geologists, it was confirmed that there are no significant dacite deposits in Africa large enough to produce a sarcophagus of this size. This means the stone was transported from outside the continent, perhaps from Europe or the Black Sea. The logistics of transporting a 40-ton block of stone across seas and deserts remains a mystery. Why didn't the builders use locally sourced granite or basalt, which would have been far easier to acquire? This discovery challenges long-standing views on ancient Egypt's chronology. The dating method used reveals a time well before the pyramids, offering a glimpse into a distant past. Could the Osiris shaft represent the work of a forgotten civilization, one whose achievements have been lost to time? As we explore the depths of the shaft, more questions emerge. Was the shaft's design deliberate, meant to preserve the dead using unknown methods? Could the high radiation levels within the sarcophagi have played a role in ancient preservation techniques? The builders of this structure may have known things we have yet to uncover. As archaeologists delve deeper into the Osiris shaft, they challenge established notions of ancient Egypt. On the third and deepest level, a stone island surrounded by water holds yet another granite sarcophagus. This time, the sarcophagus is made of granite, a material more common in Egyptian structures. However, its location deep underground and surrounded by water raises further questions. This sarcophagus dates to around 2370 BCE, placing it in the Old or Middle Kingdom. Interestingly, the design of the third level seems to be a later addition to the shaft, suggesting the site may have been used and modified over centuries. If true, this means the Osiris shaft was considered important long before the time of the pyramids. One of the most intriguing features of the third level is the water system. A meticulously shaped canal surrounds the chamber, and the water level appears to be maintained at a precise depth. How did the builders engineer such a system over 100 feet underground? The bedrock in this area is solid, making natural water leaks unlikely. This suggests that the builders tapped into a hidden water source, possibly through an underground channel or spring. At the Osirion, another ancient Egyptian site, similar subterranean water channels have been discovered, indicating that the ancient builders had advanced knowledge of hydroengineering. Water was often seen as a source of life and regeneration, and its presence in the Osiris shaft may have had symbolic significance in ancient rituals related to death and rebirth. This brings us to the connection between the shaft and Osiris, the Egyptian god of the dead and the underworld. According to myth, Osiris was resurrected in a sarcophagus placed on an island surrounded by water. The third level of the shaft closely mirrors this imagery. Could the builders have been trying to replicate the tomb of Osiris? Or was this part of a deeper religious practice? Oddly, the sarcophagi found in the Osiris shaft are devoid of inscriptions, which is unusual for ancient Egyptian tombs. This absence of hieroglyphs has led some scholars to suggest that these sarcophagi were not intended for traditional burials, but served a different, perhaps secretive, purpose. Adding to the mystery, researchers detected significant levels of radiation inside the sarcophagi. Combined with the lead coating found on the second level, this suggests that the sarcophagi might have had an advanced preservative function, something we do not yet fully understand. If the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of radiation's effects on preservation, it would represent a technological leap far beyond what we currently attribute to their civilization. Beyond the physical mysteries, the Osiris shaft raises important questions about the origins of Egyptian civilization. The dating of the second-level sarcophagus to as early as 3350 BCE points to a pre-dynastic origin, making the shaft one of the oldest structures in Egypt. As we continue to investigate the Osiris shaft, the possibility of discovering hidden chambers, artifacts, or tunnels remains high. The Osiris shaft is rewriting our understanding of ancient Egypt and perhaps even pointing to a forgotten chapter in human history. At first glance, a carved symbol of a simple handbag on an ancient artifact might seem unremarkable, a mundane detail easily overlooked. But take a step back, and the mystery deepens. This same handbag symbol appears across the globe, in Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, and even on remote islands. Cultures separated by vast distances and centuries, seemingly without contact, all depicted the same mysterious object. What are these handbags, and why do they appear in cultures that, by all accounts, should have had no knowledge of one another? This global phenomenon has puzzled archaeologists for generations. The places where these handbag carvings appear are as varied as they are vast. In Mesopotamia, the symbol shows up in the art of the Sumerians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. Across the ocean, it's found in pre-Aztec and pre-Mayan Olmec cultures, and the ancient tribes of Veracruz. The 12,000-year-old site of Göbekli Tepe, one of the world's oldest known religious complexes, also features carvings of the handbag. The sheer spread of this symbol raises a compelling question. Why? Mainstream archaeologists have proposed a simple explanation. Perhaps these carvings simply depict mundane bags, common objects across all cultures. After all, bags are universal. Maybe the handbags were just practical items, like bowls or tools, depicted as part of everyday life. But these carvings tell a different story. The handbags are rarely shown in ordinary scenes. Instead, they appear in sacred contexts, held by deities or featured in mythological depictions. Far from everyday objects, they seem to carry deeper significance. Why would a common item appear consistently alongside gods, divine symbols, and cosmic depictions? It's not just their recurrence that fascinates researchers, it's their uniformity. Despite the diversity of cultures, the handbags appear almost identical in form. Same shape, same size. Even the way they are held is similar across continents. If these cultures developed independently, why would they all depict the same object in the exact same way? Could this be more than coincidence? Some researchers propose that the handbags might represent something far more profound, the cosmos itself. In this theory, the semicircular handle symbolizes the sky, while the square base represents the earth. Together, the union of heaven and earth, the divine and material worlds. It's a tempting interpretation, given how many ancient cultures had detailed cosmological knowledge. But such a simplistic depiction feels out of place compared to the intricate ways these civilizations usually represented the cosmos. Why would sophisticated cultures opt for such minimalism? Another theory suggests these handbags are remnants of advanced technology from a forgotten age. In an Osirion relief, figures holding handbags stand around the Tree of Life. Some suggest the tree could resemble a Tesla coil, a device invented by Nikola Tesla to transmit wireless electricity. In this theory, the handbags might have functioned like batteries, storing power generated by such Tesla-like devices. This theory isn't confined to Mesopotamia. In Egypt, some symbols that resemble Tesla coils have been found, with the Ankh symbol possibly representing ancient energy transmission. Could these handbags have been tools used in a lost energy network, carrying knowledge or power? The mystery deepens even further in Central America. In one Olmec carving, the god Quetzalcoatl cradles a figure holding a handbag. Some suggest that the figure may be seated in a flying machine powered by the handbag. A similar carving from Veracruz depicts a figure resembling a modern astronaut, complete with what looks like a life support system. Could these handbags be the keys to understanding lost technologies from an ancient civilization? There is another theory, one that ties these mysterious carvings together in a profound way. The handbags, some believe, represent the transfer of divine knowledge. It's not just the handbags themselves that matter, it's who is holding them. Across cultures, these handbags are often depicted in the hands of gods or figures directly linked to the foundation of civilization. In Osirion reliefs, figures holding handbags are often depicted around the Tree of Life, a symbol of divine knowledge and creation. In their hands, they also hold pine cones, symbols of enlightenment and spiritual awakening. The pine cone has long been associated with the pineal gland, or third eye, believed in many cultures to be the seat of spiritual consciousness. Could these carvings be depicting divine beings passing sacred knowledge to humans? Similar depictions can be found in India, where the handbag is shown in front of Shiva, the god of creation and transformation. In Indonesia, the handbag is seen with Panji, a cultural hero who, like Quetzalcoatl and Oannes, brought wisdom and knowledge to his people. These figures share a common thread. They are the bringers of culture and civilization, lifting humanity from its primitive state. Historian Graham Hancock proposes that these handbags were symbols of an ancient brotherhood of sages, a global network of teachers who traveled the world, spreading knowledge and helping early humans build their civilizations. In both the myths of Quetzalcoatl and Oannes, these figures do not appear alone. They are often accompanied by other sages, suggesting an elite group guiding the progress of humanity. Hancock believes these stories align with the dramatic leap in human development that occurred around 10,000 BCE. Before this period, humans had lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers for millennia, making slow progress in technology and culture. Then, seemingly overnight, they developed agriculture, writing, and metalworking. Hancock suggests this leap may not have been the result of natural evolution, but the intervention of these ancient sages who passed their knowledge to humanity. One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence for Hancock's theory is the site of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Dating back to 9600 BCE, it is one of the oldest known religious complexes, and among its intricate carvings, the handbag symbol appears once again. Could Göbekli Tepe have been a gathering place for these ancient knowledge bearers, from which civilization spread across the globe? Hancock suggests these sages may have belonged to a forgotten civilization, one destroyed in a great cataclysm, perhaps the flood described in both biblical and Mesopotamian texts. According to legend, survivors of this cataclysm carried their knowledge across the world, establishing new civilizations. In this way, the handbags could symbolize the transfer of this sacred knowledge, the tools of a brotherhood that laid the foundation for the modern world. As the investigation continues, the mystery only deepens. Could the handbags represent the passing of divine knowledge, or were they tools to access lost technologies? Do they reflect a shared cosmological belief across ancient cultures? While definitive answers remain elusive, these carvings challenge everything we think we know about the ancient world. Deep in the desert sands of Abydos, approximately 350 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza, stands the Osirion, a monumental structure shrouded in mystery. Its origins, purpose, and design have baffled archaeologists and researchers for decades. Unlike the well-known temples of ancient Egypt, the Osirion defies traditional pharaonic architectural norms, leading some to believe it could be the product of a much older, technologically advanced civilization. Could this ancient structure hold the key to a forgotten chapter of human history? The first puzzle presented by the Osirion lies in its striking architectural divergence from typical Egyptian temples. While most temples of the pharaonic era adhere to a linear rectangular layout, the Osirion's design breaks the mold with its unique L-shaped configuration. This anomaly alone raises critical questions about the intentions behind its construction. Was it built for a different purpose than Egypt's standard religious edifices? Or does it reflect the architectural style of an unknown, perhaps much older culture? Adding to the mystery is the Osirion's relationship with the nearby temple of Seti Prayus, built during the 19th dynasty. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Osirion predates the temple of Seti Ras by centuries, if not millennia, implying that the site held significant importance long before the reign of Seti. This ancient structure was already in place when Seti chose to build his temple beside it, as though honoring an ancient relic from a bygone era. What made the Osirion so significant, and why did it attract the attention of the Egyptian kings? The sheer scale of the Osirion is awe-inspiring. The core of the structure is composed of massive rose granite blocks, some of which weigh an astonishing 100 tons. These immense stones were quarried from Aswan, located over 200 miles to the south, a logistical challenge that seems insurmountable given the tools and technology traditionally attributed to the Egyptians of the time. Moving these massive blocks across hundreds of miles of desert, and then precisely positioning them in a desert location far from the Nile, is a feat that defies explanation. Without evidence of advanced machinery, how were these massive stones transported and assembled with such precision? The Osirion's architecture, featuring a sophisticated double-layered roofing system and interlocking wedges, suggests a level of engineering knowledge far beyond what ancient Egypt is known to have possessed. The use of granite, a hard and unforgiving material, only adds to the mystery. Working with granite requires advanced tools and knowledge, skills that, according to historical records, the Egyptians had not yet developed during the early dynastic periods. Another striking feature of the Osirion is its complete lack of Egyptian hieroglyphs or artwork. In contrast to nearly every other Egyptian temple or monument, which are richly decorated with carvings, inscriptions, and illustrations, the Osirion is eerily bare. Throughout Egypt's history, temples were frequently renovated, with each generation adding new inscriptions and artwork. Even more unusual is the Osirion's subterranean layout, which is highly uncharacteristic of Egyptian temple architecture. The entire structure lies 15 feet below ground level, leading some researchers to propose that the temple could be far older than its surrounding counterparts. The idea that it predates the buildup of sand and soil that has accumulated over millennia suggests a timeline stretching back to an era before the sands of Egypt's desert even existed in their current form. Water erosion patterns found on the limestone enclosure surrounding the Osirion add yet another layer to the mystery. Some researchers argue that these erosion marks could only have been caused by a much wetter climate, possibly dating the structure back to the end of the last ice age, when the region experienced more rainfall. If true, this would place the Osirion's construction over 10,000 years ago, far earlier than the dynastic Egyptian civilization. Perhaps the most intriguing feature of the Osirion is the presence of water within the structure itself. Modern seismic technology has revealed that the visible portion of the Osirion is only the uppermost part of a much larger complex, which extends at least 50 feet below the current floor level. Beneath the surface, seismic tests have indicated the presence of hollow chambers, which have yet to be explored due to the water that continually fills the site. Despite multiple attempts, archaeologists have been unable to drain the water, which seems to replenish at an alarming rate. The source of this water remains unknown, and its continuous flow presents a baffling enigma. Some researchers suggest that the Osirion's complex hydraulic system, which includes channels, basins, and possibly sluices, was designed to control and manipulate water flow within the structure. The precision of these features points to an advanced understanding of hydraulic engineering, something not typically associated with ancient Egyptian technology. While the Egyptians were known for their use of irrigation canals and basins for agriculture, the Osirion's water management techniques are far more sophisticated. The mysteries of the Osirion continue to deepen as researchers attempt to unlock its secrets. The constant replenishment of water within the structure defies explanation. James Westerman, a renowned archaeologist and historian, has spent decades studying the Osirion. His efforts to pump out the water from the structure have been met with frustration. Even with a pump capable of removing 500 gallons of water per minute, the water level continues to rise, seemingly replenishing itself faster than it can be removed. Westerman's words capture the perplexity of the situation. Water is emerging from inside the structure. This shouldn't be happening, especially in the desert. Something strange is going on here. In 2023, Westerman's team employed advanced technology to analyze the water within the Osirion, measuring its pressure, temperature, conductivity, and chemical composition. The results were astounding. The water in the Osirion was found to have a unique chemical profile, different from the surrounding wells and aquifers in the area. Westerman's research suggested that the water was being forced up through the structure, almost as though it were being propelled by some unknown force. The water's chemical composition and isotopic profile indicated that it did not originate from the nearby Nile River or local aquifers. Where, then, is this water coming from? The Osirion's water behaves more like that of a geyser, but without the typical signs of volcanic activity. Is there an underground spring or reservoir beneath the structure, or could the water be flowing from a deeper, as yet undiscovered source? One of the most intriguing aspects of the water is its unique properties. Westerman conducted hydrologic studies and found that the water within the Osirion was drinkable after filtration. Over time, Westerman began drinking the water regularly, and he noticed something extraordinary. His eyesight began to improve. A lifelong sufferer of nearsightedness, Westerman eventually no longer needed glasses, a fact that was confirmed by an eye test. Could the water from the Osirion possess healing properties? Westerman believes so and continues to drink the water, attributing his improved vision to its mysterious qualities. Yet another anomaly is the temperature of the water. The water outside the Osirion measures a consistent 16.9 degrees Celsius, but the water inside the structure is significantly warmer, measuring 23.8 degrees Celsius. This temperature difference defies the second law of thermodynamics, which states that heat cannot spontaneously transfer from a cooler to a warmer body. Something within the Osirion is heating the water, but no one knows what it is or how it is happening. As researchers continue to study the Osirion, its true scale and purpose remain elusive. What is visible today may only be the tip of the iceberg. The structure extends far beneath the surface, with hidden chambers still unexplored due to the constant flow of water. Could these underground chambers hold more secrets about the origins of the Osirion and its builders? As we probe deeper into the Osirion's mysteries, we are left with more questions than answers. One thing is certain: this ancient structure is far older and more complex than we ever imagined, and it may hold the key to understanding a lost chapter of human history.